Welcome to Between Escrows. We are back. I am here with my amazing partner in crime for this show. I've got Roger Savy. He is a major power coach with Roger That, and he is also the ambassador of optimism. I am Amy Scruggs. I'm a professional media and branding coach, and we are here to just bring you some amazing nuggets. We had our first episode about a week ago, and I think that we had enough great response, and we like each other enough that yes, we are here to continue. And what are we doing today, Roger? We are doing the long game, because a lot of individuals sometimes get stuck in that reactionary mode. So I want to kick it off with that. I'd love to share your thoughts here, and also see where you'd like to take off with this, because I think we can go to a lot of fun places with it.
Oh, absolutely. And Amy, just like you, I'm excited to be back. And yes, we like each other. You are a master at this, and you make everyone on your show feel so welcome. So thank you for inviting me back. And I look forward to, love the topic, the long game. You know, Amy, have you thought about it? You ask people, when is the rent due? When is the rent due? They always go, first of the month. No, the rent is due every day. And as long as you stay in action, suddenly the rent is not, you're not worried about the due date, because you have a long-term thinking. The rent just happens at some point, right? Because the focus is long-term. And I think you bring up an amazing topic, that short-term thinking is all about frenetic energy, right? Uncertainty, whereas long-term thinking is what the professionals tend to do. Is that where you were going with this, Amy?
Oh, absolutely. And especially those of us professionals who are in industries, any industry that's got that commission attached to it. We've got to close that in order for this. And so there tends to be a common, almost a frenzy sometimes, until you get into a groove. And I know newer sales professionals look at the more advanced and long-term professionals saying, how do I get there? How come you have just such an ease and flow? And it really made me think about that long game. And times in my life, in my career, I can tell you, I'm absolutely guilty of getting stuck in the short-term panic, getting stuck in maybe even, and that'll be another topic, but the scarcity mindset. But the short-term, where you notice your breathing is just slower, and I got to. And when I stop and go, okay, wait a minute. If I think about decisions that I made a year ago, I'm reaping those right now. A decision I made 6 months ago is actually something I'm working on today. So whatever I'm doing today is beautiful for my long game, and I can channel through and realize that short game is really going to take care of itself with these habits.
Oh, absolutely. And so many people in lending and real estate, they lose in real estate not because they're not talented, but because they're playing the short game in a long-term industry, right? Waking up and thinking, what do I need this week, versus what does my business look like in 3 to 5 years from now? Do you feel the same way?
Yes, I had to really etch that in my mind. It wasn't something that I just heard someone else discussing it on a podcast like this and went, oh, I get it. I had to stop and do a lot of introspect, and even writing, and say, wait a minute, but what does that really look like? What does that really look like 5 years from now? And the only way that I got that aha was when I looked back 5 years ago and went, oh gosh, and what was I stressed about 5 years ago? I don't know. But wait a minute, what results? I always remember my results. I remember, oh, I had that feature, and oh, I released this song, or oh, I started this new position. Oh, I worked with this great client. I couldn't tell you what my worry was that day. And that was the aha moment for me, that I have to remind myself today that that's still the same case. And it retrains my brain on the fear of the short game.
Yeah. You know, Amy, that makes me think there is such a difference, because we do call ourselves salespeople. But there is such a difference between being a salesperson and being an entrepreneur. Because
Yes.
a salesperson wakes up, what do I need this week? And they live their life in that urgency and anxiety and emotional roller coaster, whereas the entrepreneur is, what does my business look like in 3 to 5 years from now? Rather than living in urgency, they live in strategy. And rather being an emotional roller coaster, they live with calm and intentionality, because they know, for the most part, it's the long game. So many realtors and loan officers never think of themselves as a business owner, which
Right.
requires long-term thinking, right?
Yes, yes. I was just having this exact conversation with someone that's newer in the business. I said, no, 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 no. We're creating strategies and principles that are for you, for your success, for the long term, so that you're building these stepping stones. What you just did today, our meeting today, is a stepping stone for the long game. And I also had to picture myself as almost two different people. There was Amy, the doer in the business, and then there
Mm,
was Amy, the CEO, as if I was sitting in a separate office down the hall and I had to go report to that CEO and say, here's what I've been working on this month that's going to benefit this business 5 years from now. And are those things that I'm embarrassed about, or things that I'm proud of, or things that I see are meeting that mission, that business mission, that overall strategy, who we are? Because it is two components. When you're working for yourself, which anyone in sales really is, even though we're with great teams and we're with great companies, we're the ones on that front line. And if I have to report to my CEO, the person on the front line, is that congruent with what I set up when I started this in the first place? Think of what it takes to even acquire a license in real estate and lending, all the studying, all the work, all the networking, everything that it takes. And then we go into a panic mindset as we kick it off and start maybe that first 2 years of business. And I would love to help with what we're sharing today to maybe take the panic off. How do you advise when we're looking at, especially real estate and mortgage, having its ups and downs? Rates go up, or inventory changes, or we see the industry changing and fluxing. How do we take out the panic that's industry related and still apply this long game to that?
yeah, very provocative question, because we tend to read things and then panic starts. We cannot control the interest rate. We cannot control what Jerome Powell is doing. We cannot control what Donald Trump is doing. We cannot control any of these things. All we have under our control are relationships. That's all we have. And with intentionality to go out and have conversations. So rather than being reactive and feeling urgent and chasing something, rather decide to go out, have conversations, find out more about those people, recognize how many conversations do I need to have for it to end up maybe in an app, to end it to be in a conversion. But whatever it is, all you can control is your energy and the
Mm-hmm.
conversations that you have. And people meet your energy before they meet your skills. And so just the long game is decide AI, the world, the wars, the politics. I can't control it.
Right.
It cannot affect me if I get involved with relationships. I, the boss, in that situation. And that's a long-term game. Would you agree?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And what great visuals you just put with that
Yeah.
on how you can look at it and say, okay, I'm going to lift myself up above these circumstantial things, like you shared, what's going on in our world, what's going on in our industry, and say, okay, how can I raise above that and go into the flow of this
Yeah. The
long game?
flow.
Roger, you and I, this isn't our first year in the work field. We've been around a couple years, maybe
Yep.
between the two of us. I don't want to add that number up. What is the role of daily habits, and how
Yeah.
key and critical is that to having a long game success?
Yeah. Because people with short-term thinking, they feel the market, and that gives them anxiety. Whereas long-term thinking, the entrepreneurs, they know their numbers, right? And it's the difference between math and emotions. They know that if they stick to what was in their planner, filter out the noise, and get into conversations, meaningful conversations with people who have potential, with people who should know you, and just keep talking to those high quality individuals. So let me be very specific with you. In the old days, to any of you who ever watched the movie Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, which had that famous sales scene, you can look it up on YouTube. Be careful to have the filtered down version, because the language is very colorful. But there, Alec
Spoiler.
Baldwin is the sales manager. Yeah, spoiler. Ed Harris is there. Jack Lemmon is there. All those people. And he Alec Baldwin, the traditional sales manager, says A, B, C. Always be closing. If
Yes.
someone walks into your store, they walked in for a reason. You've got to sell them. Put their name on the dotted line. Always be closing. And so we were taught to always be pouncing on people, and people recognize it. Their brain scans every 8 seconds. Am I being manipulated? I want to be motivated, not manipulated.
Yes.
So when you come across with this salesy, always be closing, people sense it and they would rather walk away. Now, to answer your question, we now live in the generosity generation. And ABC now means always be connecting, always be contributing. In that way, the
Woo!
single sentence that will change all our lives, all of it, is today I intend to give twice as much as I receive. Today, I intend to give 2 referrals and receive 1. That 2-to-1 ratio. It changes the mindset. It makes you realize this is about building relationships rather than chasing applications or
Yes.
chasing the lead. It's long-term thinking. And to you and I, that comes naturally. And I trust that when people look at watch this podcast, that they will internalize it, that they live in the generosity generation.
Oh, thank goodness. Because
Yeah.
you and I, we came into the business when the always be closing was what was driven into us. And now we've watched this shift. And I know for you and I personally, and I want to speak for you, but I know we're a lot more comfortable in this space. This is a lot more how I was created and wired. So I'm so grateful to be at this place and this time. And for myself, I'll sit, and as I do something, I will ask myself, is my future self going to thank me for this? Because this
Yes.
self right now thanks me for things that I did a year ago that equaled the opportunity and the capability to be doing what we're doing here today. Do I understand my technology? Did I understand how to put this together, how to be clear in my thoughts, how to be well spoken? What have I done to tool up to thank myself today? And when I take that time, let's say it's a quiet time between escrows, right? It's a quiet time. Well, what a great time to educate myself or read from someone else in the business that tells a wonderful story or some techniques or something inspiring. What if it's time to maybe get certified in something new? What if it's time to tool up? My in-between time is where I tool up, because then careful what you wish for when you get busy. Woo, you're not going to have time to do those things. Do I need to do my continued ed during this slow time? Your future self will thank you. And it's something I've been saying to myself, and I even say to my grown kids, no, just trust me. Your future self will thank you.
Oh,
And
yeah, so
and
right.
that's made a huge difference in even immediate decisions and immediate moments of removing the short-term panic.
Yes, Amy. So what I heard you describe there is you have learned a skill of being mindful, asking yourself, is what I'm doing now going to be impactful for me 12 months from now? Or am I just being reactive to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You described mindfulness. You described planting versus harvesting, right?
Yes.
You're asking yourself, because I would imagine as a nation, as a population, especially in the Western world, we love being busy, don't we? We love being busy. We can justify that we are pulling our hair out and putting out fires, but we should, at our own peril, not mistake busyness for productivity, right?
Ooh, see, that's where I was going with that too. Yes.
You were going with that. And because you're mindful, you were asking, is this going to thank me? Now we're moving away from busy to productive in a more
Yes.
mindful way. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
And for those that are concerned and saying, how do I do it? Let me tell you, going from the busy to productive actually creates more space. When you say, gosh, I wish I had an hour to go for a run on my lunch break, but I'm so busy. When you're productive, you have the time because you're doing action items. How much do we waste in a day, right? I actually think it through. I look and say, okay, I have some non-negotiables in my day for my long game. And a big one of that is my health and wellness. So I'm not lying, I need at least 8 hours sleep, usually 9, because this needs to sleep. I need 2 hours a day on my health and wellness. That's my mental health. That's my physical health, my emotional health. What are those things that I do in my day? So let's say I've had the 8 hours and now 2 hours on my health and an hour a day of reading. Well, that's 12 hours out of the day. I have 12 more hours to be productive, and I'm using a healthy vessel to do it. And so, really looking at that day, how is that divided up? My future self has thanked me for those daily disciplines that actually bring in, you can have a clearer mind and get that download of, oh, I need to call so and so. When we're busy, we're cluttered and we're chaotic, and our brain is full, and it's not going to receive those aha moments, those inside moments. It's not going to get a creative burst. It's not going to get hearing that little voice that says, so and so, reach out to them, pay attention to this. And I think that productivity is such a huge word, and we don't use it enough. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that has been a game changer for me as well. And I'm
Yeah,
thankful for it. And I wish somebody had really sat me down like this. I wish I had seen this information when I was starting out at 28, 29, 30 years old. I had to learn the hard way of way too many busy days that led me nowhere.
absolutely, Amy. And I know that you've discovered it, and your energy that you put out, it goes in the right direction, because all of us, whether you're a top producer or a bumbling student, we've all got the same amount of time every week. We may have mentioned that last week. We've all got 168 hours, whether you're a top producer or a novice. It's where you decide to put your focus in that time. And it's all about where you put your energy. And you can't have good energy if you haven't looked after yourself.
Yes.
Take care of yourself first. As they tell you on the airline, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you look after anyone else. So the way you show up is so, so very, very important. And being mindful of that is so good. So it's all about management of your energy, And that
Yes.
will be the difference between, am I chasing or am I attracting? Because the energy to attract versus the energy for chasing are two different things if you're not mindful. And I think you and I have discovered in our careers, Amy, because I noticed the way you deal with everyone in the company and the people that we know in common. You have become the magnet rather than the microphone. The magnet has learned out the strategy to attract rather than chasing and talking without listening and asking deeper questions. And that makes such a difference in the generosity generation. Tell me some more about that stuff, Amy.
Well, I thank you so much for that compliment, because I feel that when you talk about a magnet, I think you and I, coming from a very similar way of being and living and doing and working and engaging, it attracted us to each other. Because if one of us was in busy and in force and in the wrong mindset,
Mm,
this would not be happening right now. We would not be able to have a concise conversation. We wouldn't be able to help lead and coach and do the things that we do in our collective community. And so imagine that on a grand scale as well. If everyone is doing that, we're going to all start syncing in with each other. And then we're going to start seeing, wow, our networks that are in the same like-mindedness. It's like you see this amazing vortex right here and you want to be in it. You're not going to be in it if you're creating that negative resistance of the panic of the short game. And it's so easy to let that short game suck you in. It is so easy. But every
so,
time I stop and go, no, do this for the long game, the short game. And believe me, I've had losses and struggles and some moments that I care to not recount, but it always corrects. It always corrects. It always works itself out. And the times that it didn't work itself out, honestly, I can tell you it was for my own good. It was there to protect me, not punish me. When something is not
yes.
working out, it is protecting you, not punishing you. So you stay in that long game and you're going to watch and see how things continue to move. And that's been my personal experience. I'm not saying that everybody has to be that way, but energetically, like you said, Roger, you have that same energy that has also led you throughout your entire life and career and moving and living on different continents. I mean,
Mhm.
hands down, you win for that one. I can't.
Mm, mm,
I don't go 10 miles away. So what you've done in that bravery, that was
yeah.
a long game decision. I can only imagine when you looked at that move.
Yeah, it was. I loved hearing you speak there, by the way. So, by the way, just anecdotally, I've moved from Las Vegas to Seattle in a period of my life, and I was applying to be marketing and sales director for Old Republic Title Company up in the Seattle
Mhm.
area, and they said, "Mr. Savvy, come on, Las Vegas market is very different to the Seattle market. How do you adapt with change?" And I remember with clarity and confidence saying, I've moved from Africa to North America and fitted in just fine. I've got that under control for adaptability. And he said, I have no further questions on that. You got the job. So
Brilliant.
that worked out really well. So, but to go back to what you were describing so eloquently, being mindful and looking where you're putting your energy and what are you doing and will it matter in 12 months from now? Will I thank myself? You've gone from emotional volatility to emotional stability. And that does wonders for marriages, for relationships, and people start looking towards you because it appears that you've got your life together. Even if there is a massive activity under the water, like when a duck is on the surface, it's serene as it's moving along, but there's a hive of activity. But at least you feel emotionally in control, even if it's still frenetic underneath, because this world is not easy. It's
No,
not easy.
it's not getting
And
easier.
unless you wrestle control back of it, your day will dominate you. And next minute you become a stat and you're out of the industry.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes. And we're
completely.
here to help as many as we can. And that we're coming together like this because we can reach a larger audience. So thank you for watching this because we're here to support and say, let that not be you. Join us on this side of being a regulator of your own self, looking at that long game and seeing that you're doing this for your own best interest as well as anybody on your team or in your family or whatever that is. Our last point here that I really want to make sure we get to, Roger, and I know that you can really speak life to this, especially as we mention life being tough. Distractions are all around us. We have distractions, positive distractions, negative distractions, digital distractions. There's no shortage of distraction. When we're looking at that long game, how do we keep from distractions, good, or indifferent? How do we keep those from knocking us off track?
Okay. In 1975, the average attention span of an American, Amy, was 15 minutes. Today, it's 2.5 seconds and dropping, right? We
Yes.
have the attention span of a goldfish.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Absolutely right. And so we are commoditized. If we don't know what our value proposition is, we are genericized. We tend to be doing the same thing everyone else is doing, so we're not differentiating ourselves. And the people we are talking to or endeavoring to are not listening because their attention span is not there. And so these are the headwinds, right? Distraction, competition, commoditization. And until you and I and the world overcome those headwinds, there's nothing worse in this world than being ignored. And we are being ignored because of those headwinds, and they are so distracted, as you
Yes.
said. So here is my simple posset for beginning to go against that. Decide why you're in your particular industry. Just decide what why is. That's one thing. But when someone asks you to do something, the answer is no. No, until I've checked my planner. A couple of things happened there. It means you were starting to plan the strength of a standard week at a glance, and you had placed what you were going to do. And the answer is no, until you've checked your planner. Otherwise, you're saying yes to everything and living in chaos. And you only do what's in your planner. And you can say to people, I can't do it now, maybe next week, maybe at the end of the day, but this is what I'm doing now. You get more love, you get more respect, right?
Yes.
Because suddenly people think you're in control and they like being around people that are in control. So the answer is no until you've checked your planner, and be good with saying no.
I love that. A relatable example that everybody can identify with. So you heard about this great hot new restaurant that's just come to your town, and you try to get a reservation and you can't. Why? Because everybody's there. That probably means it's pretty great, doesn't it?
Yes.
So we
That's
get
right.
excited when, oh, there's a wait list. We better get your name on that wait list. We can't go in for 4 weeks.
Exactly.
Be that restaurant that has the wait list.
Yeah.
Because people will realize that you're providing value, you're providing nourishment, you're providing those things that we even see when we're talking about our local establishments. That's what we can be. And my sorry, I don't usually lose my train of thought, but I really feel passionate about this.
Yeah.
I am the only one that can decide what my quality of life is. No one
Yes.
else can do that.
You,
Me,
boss.
regardless of all the distractions, I choose my quality of life today and tomorrow. And it's sometimes saying those no's, sometimes saying, I'm sorry, I can't get to that just yet. Or yes, I'd love to be of value to you for this. Because that is about my quality of life. And when I start and put that in that first position, that's my long game. Everything else falls into play.
Oh, I love it. Yes. No one else can control your destiny unless you let them.
Yes.
So it's taking back your time. Think about when we were younger, or when anyone you were younger in your 20s, you're always worried what people are saying or thinking about you. You're always worried about your street cred.
Yes.
So, and then when you get into your 30s and 40s, you think, well, I'm going to persevere. I don't care what they say about me. I'm just going to do it. And then in your 50s and 60s, you realized nobody cared what you said or did. All that wasted energy worrying about what other people are going to say or do. No, it's your life, as you said.
Yes.
Take control. And this is not meant to be a downer, but a realization. Only about, on average, 6 people will cry at your funeral. And yet you've wasted all your life worrying about what people will say and think. No, step out, love it, play the long game, as you so rightfully said.
Play the long game. Oh, Roger, you are just absolutely a treasure in this world. And I really hope if you've watched this, leave a comment wherever you're watching this. Tell us what your long game looks like. Tell us that you're ready to have that quality of life, and also let us know how we can help and what topics you want to see coming up. This is Between Escrows. Roger Savy, the amazing power coach. I'm Amy Scruggs, and we are just honored to be with you today. Thank you so much for watching.